Hello, welcome to my channel. A couple of weeks ago, TTArtisan sent me the 17mm f1.8 for Fujifilm X-Mount. I have been testing it out for the last couple of weeks, so I have some thoughts about it and whether or not this is the right lens for you. Let's get to it. So the first thing I need to do is get this out of the way. TTArtisan did send me this lens and I do get to keep it. But having said that, they get no say in this review. These are my thoughts and mine alone. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris. I am a photographer out of Denver, Colorado. I'm a hobbyist, but I've been practicing photography for a long time. I've recently come back into the world of Fujifilm, so I was very excited that TTArtisan wanted to send me this because I don't have a ton of Fujifilm lenses at the moment. Anyway, I've been a fan of TTArtisan. I'll put it that way. I did a video where they did not send me any lenses. I had a 50mm for my Fujifilm X-Mount system, and I had a 23mm. They were both manual lenses. They had no electronics in them. They were both very inexpensive. Now this one is autofocus. It does have connectors that tell the camera, all the details of the lens that you're using, which I really like. But there's one thing missing from this lens, and that is a aperture ring. However, priced at 148 US dollars, this is a very inexpensive lens. And when I get into the photography, you'll see a pretty good deal for a wide angle lens. I think the size of it is perfect, especially on the XE5. This is a very small camera. All my choices about this camera are about small, and this particular lens really fits that bill. I'm gonna read some specs real quick so I make sure that I don't miss them, and then we'll get into the photography. It's called an X-Mount Air. That is a specific marketing term that they use for this lens. It has 14 elements and 10 groups. It has a very wide aperture. The 1.8 has been great. I'll show you that in a second. It has a 0.18 meters focal distance, so about 7 inches from the end of the lens. It came with a lens cap. It came with a body cap that has a USB port for doing firmware updates. And then it has a little lens hood, which I'll probably never use. I didn't get a whole lot of marketing materials because I've done work with TTArtisan before. I think they just sort of trusted I would do what I do with it. And I did not know about this hexagram starburst effect. Let's get into the photography so you can see what I mean. So these are just mostly test shots. A few of them I really do like. Try to keep in mind I'm in testing mode. This is where the wide angle really comes into play. I saw this liquor store. I thought it looked kind of interesting. I was just sitting at a red and I, framed my shot vertically so I could get the reflection in my hood and I could also get the light above. This is when wide angle really comes into play. Now here we go with the surprise. This was my very first night with the lens. I took it out the day I got it. I got it, unboxed it, and I went out and took photos. If this is something that's a deal breaker for you, well, that's what this review is for. That's why I'm trying to show it to you. Now, if you're not going to use this at night, you're not going to point your camera directly at light sources, you're not going to get the hexagon everywhere. It's only at direct light sources. So you can see here, it's a direct light source, but all the lights in the building they don't have the hexagon. However, these lights in the background that are bright into the camera do sort of show that hexagon pattern. Something to be aware of. Now here I'm standing outside of a window and I'm taking a photo inside. Mostly as I go down this line, what I'm looking for, especially in these night shots, is how's the noise pattern. I don't use denoise or anything like that, so you can see that it's not checked here. My edits are pretty lightweight. That's all I did for my edits. So if I just take my edits off here, all I did was add some contrast. That's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of controlling the light. I don't go nuts with my edits like some people do. Here, I'm really showing texture, light, all of that stuff. Like this is just a pretty much, there's a reflection going on. You can see me standing in the reflection. This one really shows you there's no vignetting going on in the corners. A lot of texture, so many different textures. There's the concrete textures, there's the marble, there's the ceiling, there's all this light happening. So I'm standing very close to the rail in the middle here, and I'm getting the whole stairwell. So if somebody were walking down and I was doing street photography, this is a shot that you can get with a wider angle lens. This is why you get wide angle lenses. So what I'm really showing here is I love this color profile or this film simulation but the lens did not distort it in any way. So I got the color representation I wanted from it. And you can see again, my edits on the right over here are very limited. Look at all that information in the clouds. I don't like to go nuts. I want it to still look realistic. So I don't go crazy with like dehaze and clarity. I barely pull them up. Um, I'm more interested in the scene itself, and I think this is a really cool little scene with this storm coming. And then what I was doing here, I just wanted to sort of focus on a sharp edged object in the foreground. I was looking for chromatic aberrations, things like that. So the photo of the day, I get my snowstorm. I decided to just lift this camera. I literally lifted it up as I was driving and took a photo. Autofocus worked great, really captured the chaos of this squall I was driving through. And the next photo is fantastic because falling rock is perfectly in focus. The snow is falling all over the place. There's snow on the windshield, there's snow falling. The sun is up right here, so I'm kind of driving into the sun. So that's this bright area right here. This is not vignetting. I've tested vignetting, and I'll show you that as well. All the things that I like to do with my camera and my lenses, this is performing exactly the way I would hope it would. So I'm really blown away that a $148 lens performs this well. Good in low light, it's good in, different kinds of conditions like a snowstorm. And then the next morning, when I got up, I had to run an errand and there was fog in Denver, which we never get in Denver. I love it. So I got to shoot some fog. This fog was actually literally cascading in. It was like this misty cloud I was driving through. So you can actually see the edge of the cloud right here, sort of along this line. It looked sort of like moving rain. It was just a really great scene. The top of this building is being cut off, but the road, you could see the road just fine. That's very clear and in focus. Like this is a pretty great shot at f8. I'm getting all the information that I want here. And then this shot, this was literally me trying to figure out if it had vignetting or not. So here's your photo. Without edits, this is how it looked. With edits, I'm just kind of brightening it up a little bit. But yeah, there's no vignetting or anything like that going on. I mean, really great for a lens like this. Here I'm doing some testing. I just wanted to show how it's handling the light coming off the lake, the highlights of the sky, the dark water of the lake. That's everything I'm doing with these next series of images. You can see halation at 1.8 in the highlights. Worth noting that there is some red halation going on when you blow out the light. So here I jump to f2.8, and now if I zoom in on that same area, you can see that halation has now dissipated. It's gone. And then this is f5.6. Now I'm really starting to get details in here. I'm starting to get that hexagon starburst twinkle in these because the light isn't as blown out. And now if I go to f8, now you're really seeing the twinkles. Now I'm really getting that hexagram effect, that sparkly off the water. So at f11 and then f16, the sparkles are definitely more pronounced. It looks more like I'm meant to do that. You know what I mean? So that's what that does. But this is the range: f1.8, f2.8, f5.6, f8, f11, f16. Now here's where I wish the focal distance was a little closer than 0.18 meters. 7 inches is all right. With a wide angle lens like this, I really want to get close to my subjects sometimes. From a, how I like to shoot kind of situation, I would prefer to be able to get closer than this. The last thing I do is some street photography. Obviously, when you're walking around with a camera that looks like this, with a lens this small, street photography just hand in hand, right? Again, I'm Acros plus R. It's my favorite film sim. Pretty much just showing textures, building, the lens is capturing everything. I'm getting all the detail that I want. Nothing is soft. Nothing is vignetting. Something else I should point out, I did go out specifically in the brightest daylight. This is literally like around noon. You can see everybody's shadows. They're like practically right underneath them. So I'm looking for the harshest light. That was the whole point of this exercise here. So I'm walking around Denver taking photos of very, very harsh light. And, I think it performed well. I didn't know it was the Kentucky Derby that day. So when I was walking around, all of a sudden I started seeing people dressed up, switched over to classic neg. I think I just got some really fun shots of people dressed up. There's just a lot of detail going on in this feather hat. There's this blue to purple gradient that's captured. All of these colors are brightly, vividly captured. Just a lot of detail in this photo. I think it's great. I was just standing there. She walked up right next to me and I just took this photo. And then there were a lot of people walking around downtown all made up. It was fun. It was just a quick way to get some color shots downtown. A couple of wrap-up shots here. There is one I want to share with you specifically. I was walking next to this building. The light was hitting the side of the building. It was creating this reflection on the street that was pretty cool. And then I walked to that side of the street to look up at the light shining on the building. And you'll notice it has this halo effect going on from the bright sun hitting right there on the building. Now, I personally think this looks all right, but I wanted to point it out because this is a review and I just wanted you to be able to see like what would happen if you were shooting essentially the brightest conditions you can be. The sun is shining right off of this glass right into my lens. So I have that hexagram pattern in the starburst and I'm getting a little bit of haloing. I also did a test for video. I wanted to do a quick test. I'm going to go ahead and record me, recording me. This is the Panasonic Lumix S12E. It is using a 24mm f1.8 on a full frame sensor. And this is the 17mm TTArtisan 1.8 on the Fujifilm X-E5, and it is a APS-C sensor. Let me put this away. There's some differences I can already see. Like from the 24mm, I appear further away than the 17mm, even though the math says they should be in the same ballpark. This 24mm is more like what I like for talking head. The 17mm is just a little close to me. So if I were doing something like vlogging, I feel like I would be a little too close. Okay, so now I'm editing and I watched that footage, and as you can see, first of all, I'm terrible at color grading f-log, which is why I moved to Lumix for video. You can see that the lens is really having trouble with focus breathing. So there's a lot of points during that little test that I did where on the screen of the Fujifilm X-E5, I could not see it focus breathing like that. But in the actual video file, you see that it's struggling pretty bad. If I'm being perfectly honest, full transparency review kind of thing, I would not purchase this 17mm for video work. All right, let's get back to it. And that's it. That's my review of the TTArtisan 17mm f1.8 for Fujifilm X-Mount. I have affiliate links that I will link below if you are interested in getting a copy yourself. You can use my affiliate link. I get a little kickback. It doesn't cost you any more, but obviously you can buy this from anywhere you want. If you enjoyed this review, please remember to give it a thumbs up. That always helps the channel. And as always, I thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.